Hello friends, what's up? It's Jaime here. Welcome back to my channel. So this is a video that I was originally gonna make last year, but then the strikes happened, and I also kept pushing back watching this movie because I didn't particularly want to watch it, but the strikes are over and I finally watched the movie. So today we are going to be talking about No Hard Feelings. No Hard Feelings is a sex comedy that came out in June of last year that stars Jennifer Lawrence and Andrew Barth Feldman. Initially, I was really excited for Andrew Barth Feldman to have his big film leading role because I am a theater kid at heart and I love Andrew Barth Feldman. It's actually really funny because since he's from Long Island, I actually know people who know him, which is just wild. I've heard great things about him, heard that he is a lovely human. So I was really excited for Andrew, but the more I learned about this movie and its premise, the less excited I became. Yasmin Benoit has a really great Instagram post that really gets into the grievances that I had with this movie, as well as some additional things that I may not touch on in today's video. It was her and her post that inspired me to make this video in the first place. I've talked about her before on the channel, but in case you don't know, Yasmin Benoit is a British asexual activist, writer, and model. You should absolutely follow Yasmin if you aren't already. She was such an important figure in helping me accept myself as an aspec person, and she's also just really fucking cool. So last year, Yasmin made a post where she outlined the acephobic undertones of No Hard Feelings. I'm gonna reference that post throughout this video, but definitely go check out her original post to see everything that she said. As an aspec person, and now as a person with a bachelor's degree in playwriting and screenwriting, I felt compelled to make a video about this movie, mainly about the acephobia that goes on, but also just some of the general weird shit that happens in this movie, so that's what we're doing today. First, I'm gonna give my general thoughts on the movie now that I have watched it, and then I'm gonna specifically talk about its acephobic undertones. So without further ado, let's get into the video. As I said at the beginning of this video, No Hard Feelings is a 2023 sex comedy starring Jennifer Lawrence and Andrew Barth Feldman. Jennifer Lawrence plays Maddie, and Andrew Barth Feldman plays a character called Percy, and so Maddie is hired by Percy's parents to date and essentially have sex with their 19-year-old son because they want Percy to have romantic and sexual experience before he goes to college. So what are my thoughts on this movie? Honestly, acephobia aside for the time being, this movie really just ranges from mid to just plain uncomfortable. And I think a lot of people excuse the weird things that happen in this movie because, oh, it's a comedy. But like, this movie was just not funny. And I don't mean that in the sense that the movie was making a bunch of offensive jokes and trying to disguise them as comedy, because that didn't really happen that much in this movie. That being said though, there was this one joke with this character Doug Kahn who marries his teacher after he graduates high school, which was really gross to me because this is one of multiple instances in this movie, the other being with our main characters, Maddie and Percy, where the movie tries to play off like a young boy being coerced and manipulated by an older woman as funny when it's not. Like, women can also be predators. It is not cool or funny when they prey on young boys. But even aside from that, just in general, this movie was so, like, strangely unfunny. The only thing that got a laugh out of me from the entire movie was the part where Maddie goes to the pre-college party that Percy like runs away to, and she's trying to like get him to leave with her, and the kid's parent, the kids who's throwing the party, his parents are like, you don't belong here, and she's like, I do belong here, I've lived here my whole life, in Montauk, and they're like, no, you don't belong here, like at this party with all of these kids, and she's like, yeah, no, that's fair. That's definitely fair. That was the only thing that made me laugh throughout the entire movie. And even then, it was only like a little chuckle. Like, it was just a little haha, like not like a full-on laugh. Like, the movie was just not funny. Like, I don't really know how else to say that. I think it might be because the movie relies a lot on like physical comedy, but the moments just really didn't land, at least not for me. Like Percy jumping on the hood of the car naked and Maddie getting punched in the throat. That one especially, I was just like, ew, because she started making a weird noise after she got punched in the throat, and I was like, ugh, gross. Like, Yeah, so the movie relies a lot on physical comedy, and the moments just really didn't land. They were just very unfunny. And because I felt like there was really no comedy in this supposed comedy movie, it just made all the things that made me uncomfortable in this movie stand out even more. Like, I'm sorry, but I think that it's really gross that we're supposed to overlook this 32-year-old woman trying to have sex with this 19-year-old boy because she's a woman and he's a boy. And we're just supposed to be like okay with this because she's not actually attracted to him and she's just doing it for the car and they never actually have sex. But like, if the roles had been gender swapped, you know that there would be so many more people with so much more to say about this uncomfortable age gap. Also, I get that Maddie is like intentionally characterized as not a great person. Like, she's canonically awful, but the way that she like manipulates Percy's consent is just so icky to me. Her doing the whole, oh, you think I'm ugly and that's why you don't want to do things with me, like that shit in the beginning of the film to get Percy to do shit with her is just like so weird. And even though she stops doing it like later in the film, they never address it. And now getting into the acephobia, it's the same thing. A lot of it goes unaddressed. Now, first, I want to say that the film isn't outright acephobic, just like Yasmin said. The film has acephobic undertones, but the acephobia being more subtle does not make it less harmful. Starting with the film's premise, the idea that a teenager is considered weird for not having sex and that is a problem that needs to be fixed has inherent acephobic undertones, especially since Percy as a character is very ace coded. I would personally say that he's very demisexual coded. That's how he came across to me as a demisexual myself, especially because he really wanted to get to know Maddie and develop a connection with her before they had sex. This is not to say that Percy is actually asexual or actually demisexual, but as Yasmin pointed out in her post, when you have this very ace-coded character who is this infantilized, socially awkward person who isn't considered to be a fully actualized person until they've had sex, that really perpetuates negative stereotypes about the aspec community. Aspec people have long been infantilized and seen as childish or less mature or even troubled for their identities. I have a lot of personal experience with this, and Percy is no different, especially because he lacks so much agency in this movie. Because it's Percy's parents who are the ones who are like, this is a problem, we need to fix this, which, first of all, implies that one, aspec people are broken, that we need to be fixed through sex, and two, that aspec people are so misguided and helpless and they need to be led towards the path of self-actualization, which means having sex. I think that Percy might also be autistic coded, though it was more difficult for me to discern whether he's actually autistic coded or if he's just naive because his parents have sheltered him so much throughout his life and he's socially awkward. But regardless, Percy is very much characterized as this like naive boy with almost like childlike innocence with very little sexual knowledge. Which even then, the film contradicts itself because Percy's parents say that they've gone through his search history and that he's looked up sexual stuff before. So it's not as if he's entirely clueless or unaware, but they still treat him as if, again, he's like helpless and needs to be shown the ways of the sex. Which, yes, to the movie's credit, they do treat the way that Percy's parents treat him, this very helicopter, way too invested in his sex life, as a problem. But in my opinion, I don't think that they go enough into just like how normal and how okay it is for someone to have not had sex before college. I'm not saying don't watch this movie, or if you've already seen it and you enjoyed it, that you're like a bad person or whatever. I just want people to be more cognizant of how narratives like this are harmful to aspec people so that we all know better for next time. And not even just like aspec people. Like, you're not necessarily aspec because you haven't had sex by a certain age. And narratives like this one hurt those people too. Sex is a normal part of life for so many people, but you shouldn't need to have had sex in order to be considered normal or treated like a complex, developed person. So for anyone who needs to hear this, you are not less of a person for not having had sex by a certain age. Whether that's by choice or not, you are still a fully fledged human being, and that is not determined by your sexual experience or your sexual attraction that you experience or lack thereof. Also, virginity is a myth. On a lighter note, before I wrap up this video, Andrew's rendition of Maneater was this movie's saving grace, and I will actually listen to it on purpose. Anyway, that's all I have for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you guys found this video informative or maybe even affirming if you are also an aspec person. Again, check out Yasmin's original post on the movie as well as her other content. Also, if you guys have any good recommendations of like good ace rep, please leave those down below in the comments. I'll take books, shows, movies, whatever. I just feel like I need a palate cleanser after watching this movie. So whether they are canonically ace or they are ace coded, I would love to see your recommendations. Once again, that's all I have for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I upload Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, except when I don't. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.